to nerd out with us.
All right, I'm going to push that just a little bit. I need space. All right, let's get started. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about cold homes are not a curse, they are by design. People are cold in the homes, and quite often putting a jersey on is not just quite enough. So how are we going to tackle this? We're going to talk about house as a system. We're going to talk about what to consider. We're going to talk about affordability and insulation, heating, condensation. We're going to have a little bit of a practice exercise, and then we'll talk about the future. All right, still pushing this a little bit. Here we go. Okay, so first of all, full disclosure, you see that little logo here? I work for the council, right? But don't worry, I'm the good guy, right? So if you need a little bit of more information, just come and see me at the council. It's a free service. So that's it. Second of all, I'm not a witch, right? I love fun facts and I love cars, so I put a little bit of that in the presentation. And also, if you haven't noticed, I'm French, so I'm going to be a bit punchy. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be a bit, I'm going to blow some myth, and I'm probably going to swear, so I apologize in advance, so please excuse my French. So here we go. Let's go and start it. So when we think about houses, we need to think as a system. When you think, I love cars, right? I mentioned that. So when we think about a car or when we think about a house, they're both the same. They're made of a lot of components to work together. So when we think about a car, it is important to understand the car is designed to work together, is designed to work for the environment, and is designed to be operated by a human. The same as a house, right? So what you have to understand is everything is linked. If you have a car, let's say you've got a Mustang and you've got a very powerful engine, but you've got very bad brakes, you're going to crash, right? It's obvious. If you have a car, it's designed to have lights to be able to allow you to drive at night, right? So if you drive at night without the lights, you're going to crash. If you have a very good car in the best environment condition, and you're a shitty driver, excuse my French again, you're going to crash. So it's very important to understand, like, every single link into this is very important. If one fell, the whole system will fail. And quite often for houses, this is what's happening, right? If you don't know how to operate your house, well, it's highly possible you're going to have some problems. So, what to consider? First of all, we need to think about affordability. So when we think about affordability, we look at the heat losses in the house. So this is a little diagram from BRAINS, the Building Institute of New Zealand for Materials. And what they have found is the heat losses, the most important one, goes through the roof. And after that, it goes through the windows, the walls, the floor, and the draft. So in New Zealand, we're really good to insulate the roof and the floor because it's easy. But we're pretty crap to deal with the rest, right? So simple glazing, no insulation in the wall, and very drafty houses are typical here. And they could be responsible to up to 50-65% of your heat losses. So my question to you tonight is, can you actually afford to lose so much heat, right? So 2 examples here to emphasize on it. If you cook dinner tonight for your whole family, and before starting dinner, you take half of the meal and you put it into the bin, right? Is this affordable? Because this is what you do with heating, right? Right, got it? The second one is even funnier. Well, to me. Imagine it's winter and you just go out with a beanie and some socks, and that's it. You forget about the rest in the middle, right? I'm sure, it's going to be freezing. It's going to be chilling. So do not apply to your house what you will not apply to your own body. So you need clothes, right? So you need a good insulation layer for the whole house. Now, we need clothes to keep the energy in. Very important. So one more thing. I know you're going to not like it, but insulation by itself won't keep you warm, right? Highly controversial, but this is the truth. So if you buy clothes and don't wear them, like my jacket, on the seat there, is not producing the heat, is not retaining any heat. So you need to have a source of heating to be able to retain some heat, right? So that's how you stay warm. So if you've got a bedroom with insulation and no source of heat, well, hello, there's nothing to retain. The bedroom is gonna stay cold, right? No source of heat, nothing to retain. So very important to keep that in mind. Okay, heating basic principles. Just a couple of information about the thermodynamics that apply to buildings. So the first law is about energy, and it says energy is conserved and it could be converted. So energy can't be created and it can't be destroyed, right? So very important. So you can save money, but you can't save energy. That's bullshit. That's crap. Sorry, excuse my French. That's not happening with the law. The second law of the thermodynamics says energy can flow. So heat rises, cold air goes down, and it can also equilibrate. So always go one way, always from hot to cold. So if you have someone coming to you and saying, close that window, you let the cold in. That's just not how physics works, man. The heat goes out, that's it. You feel the heat leaving your skin, you feel cold, but this is what it is. The cold never comes in. Now, we have clarified that. Heating. Okay, a typical mistake is to start the thinking with product. Just wrong. Don't start this way. So when people come to me at the council and they've got a new design and they're like, ooh, I've got a new house. I want underfloor heating. And I'm like, cool, okay, do you understand you're going to have a concrete floor then? And they're like, yeah, I also want carpet everywhere, especially in the lounge. And I'm like, well, it's not going to work, man. You're putting insulation on top of your heating system. You're going to go against what you want to achieve. So maybe what you're saying is, I want heating everywhere. Heating everywhere? Here you go. And what you're actually looking for is central heating. And here you can have carpet, and this is working, right? So it's very important to understand everything is linked. So how do we choose the best heating system? It's a 4-step process. The first one is, how does your house retain the heat? The second one is, what type of heat do you prefer? The third one is, how do you want to interact with your heating system? And then you can choose what type of heater is the most adequate for your house. So tonight, when you go home, I want you to think about, how does my house retain the heat? There's only 2 answers. There is thermal mass and air tightness. So either your house is a beautiful old villa and you've got a lot of thermal mass, solid timber wall, solid timber floor, solid panel, concrete, bricks, solid plaster, that's thermal mass, that holds heat. The other option is you've got a more modern house and it's kind of airtight. So that's your way of retaining the heat. Okay, that's pretty much it. What type of heat do you prefer? Well, there is 2. There is radiation and convection. So radiation, you heat the surfaces, and it works really well with thermal mass houses. And you've got convection, where you're heating the air, and it works really well with airtight houses. So here you've got a couple of like heating solution. So fireplace, for example, it's very working, it's a radiation, so it works with long infrared waves, and it works really well with thermal mass. Heat pumps, it's a convection system. How do you want to interact with the system? Two options here. You can be either active, you go and chop wood, and then during the weekend, and you fit the log burner, you know, every 2 hours, you get pretty active there, or you're pretty passive, and you're like, well, it's automatic, I don't have to think about it. End of the story. That's pretty much a choice you actually have, right? And then you can choose whatever type of heating works for you, your house, and how you want to interact with it. Couple of examples. Here's an old villa built in 1905 in Linwood. What we have is large volume, timber windows, very high ceiling. We have thermal mass everywhere. Solid timber floor, solid panel wall, timber windows, lava plaster. Here we've got a fireplace that does radiation. It works really well for it. This house has actually had 3 of them. Now, the problem is in the bedroom, they've got heat pumps. Heat pumps is convection. This house is not airtight at all, so that's a problem. Here, it's not adequate for that type of house. Option number 2, modern house built in 2015 in Rolleston. Here, what we have is a very compact house. We've got aluminium windows, and this house is actually pretty airtight, around 3 air exchange an hour, right? And we've got a heat pump, works really well. It's providing heating the air. The house is airtight. Now, here's a picture of the bedroom. There's no heating system in this bedroom, so this is not going to be warm. The insulation is not going to do its job if there is no heating source, right? So here's a question. Now, heat pump diffusers. There is 2 types. There is wall-mounted and floor-mounted. You think they do the same job, but they don't. So a wall-mounted one, you're going to blow hot air down, and hot air, you'll have to blow really fast to go down. And then it's going to go up as quick as possible, and you're going to end up with 2 layers. A layer of hot air at the top, cold air at the bottom. A floor-mounted one, you're going to blow hot air at the bottom very, very slowly, and with natural, heat rises, you will heat the whole place very slowly but naturally. So one is designed to cool, one is designed to heat. So if you've got a wall-mounted unit, you don't have a heat pump, you've got an air conditioning reversible. If you don't trust me, look at the spec. You'll see this is what it is. It's not designed to heat. First thing is designed to cool. If you've got a floor-mounted one, you're a winner for winter. Okay, next topic, la condensation. All right, fun fact. Did you know any word in English that finish by T-I-O-N? That's French, right? La construction. Documentation, that's also the same. Like you can name it. There is one exception according to Wikipedia, which is starvation. That's not French. If we don't have food, we still have bread. So that's not from us, that's for sure. Okay, condensation. It is very hard for me to relate to this because coming from Europe, we don't have that problem. We solved that like 40 years ago. So I had to go back in my memory and like, what is my first memory of condensation? And don't laugh, but this is true. This is my memory of it, okay? So you remember at the beginning of the movie, they've got that car being like lifted in the Titanic. And then you've got Jack and Rose having fun in the basement. And by the way, that car, it's actually a French car. This is a true story, thanks to James Cameron. This is a Citroën CB town. And so, yeah, very popular at the time. And it was actually in the Titanic. Anyway, my point is, this is my memory of condensation, right? So obviously you know what's happening there, right? Don't need to mention it, but like it's very obvious, right? What do we have here? We've got very low temperature and high level of moisture, and boom, you've got condensation. That's what it is. So condensation is the relationship between temperature and relative humidity that got wrong. So if you've got if the temperature is too cold, basically, this is what's happening when you speak in the morning in winter outside. The air is too cold to hold any moisture, and you will see the condensation when you speak. And the same, if you've got the humidity is too high, like in the shower, for example, the air will be saturated with moisture and is going to start to condensate. So that's a massive problem. So 80%, here's a fun fact, 80% of the condensation is human-made in the house. So you are the problem. Well, we are the problem. We make it, right? A couple per night release a liter of moisture. If you don't open your windows, after 30 days, that's 30 liters. Of course you're going to have condensation of your windows if you don't open your windows 3 minutes per day. Drying clothes inside is not magic, guys, right? The water doesn't disappear. It just changes form. It becomes vapor in the middle of the night. Well, it changed form again, and then it becomes liquid, and it gets on your windows. So if you've got condensation in the morning, it's probably related to your clothes from the night before. So watch for what are you doing wrong. Excuse me. So what we need to do is we need to find the right balance between relative humidity that we want to go down and the temperature that we need probably to raise a little bit. If you don't know what to do, you can get one of this little device, which is a thermostat and a hygrometer, so measure temperature and relative humidity. $3 on Trade Me, right? Very easy. And you want to try to target 40 to 60% of relative humidity in your house, temperature above 16, reduce moisture at the stores, and have good habits. Ventilation, I mentioned it, is very important. Why do we need ventilation? Because we want to have good air quality. We want to have fresh air for us to breathe. We need to remove the CO2 at night. We need to remove moisture, and we can control overheating. How? Well, you can do it naturally by having good habits. Briefly open your windows 3 minutes in the morning. Use the range hood when you're cooking and the extract fan when you're taking a shower. Don't dry clothes inside, or if you do, use a dehumidifier or open a window. Use the fan heater in the bathroom, right? Just to allow the air to hold more moisture before you put the fan on. And keep that door of that bathroom shut so the extract fan can do his job and the moisture doesn't go into your house. If you don't want to bother with that, it's pretty easy. You get a mechanical ventilation system that does it for you. You've got a negative pressure, positive pressure, or balanced pressure system that can do and help you. Now, let's practice. So, we have to defrost a windshield. It's all about temperature, it's all about relative humidity and airflow, right? So, first of all, the easy way to do it is a flamethrower, right? It's not really obvious, but for most of us, we have to play with these little buttons. So here it's a 4-step process. Same for the house. We want to put the heater on. We want to distribute the air at the bottom of the screen. We want to put the AC on to be efficient with what we're doing. And we want to open a window a crack. So the warm air will go directly to the screen, grab that moisture, and the second law of the thermodynamic, heat want to escape, it will go out through the window. So it's important to keep the reticulation air off because we don't want to recycle that moisture. We want to get it out, right? Got that? Now, this sexy dashboard belongs to another little Frenchie, which is It's a Renault Alpine A110 modèle 2024 GT. There is 5, yeah, no, right? There is 5 of them in New Zealand right now. There's a blue one in Christchurch, so if you see it, you know what it is, right? Okay, obviously, if you've got an electric car, hello, you don't need to defrost because you can control that and have your car ready to drive with having it plugged in directly. So, having said that, guess what? The future is electric. So, if you do a renovation if you're in your house and you're doing any work in the roof space, changing your roof or adding insulation, you can future-proof your house. What you need to do is just put an extra cable from the power box to the ridge of the roof. And when you've got solar panels, you're solar ready. You just have to plug it in. Very easy, costs $50, that's it. If you've got your electrician, you might want to have a 15 amp plug in your garage. So the day you buy an electric car, boom, you can plug it in, very easy. And if you have a hot water cylinder, well, keep it. And if you've got gas, it might be time to think about it because gas is going to get very expensive and it's going to be phased out from next year. So, and you can have hot water directly. You can have free hot water with your solar panels. So think about it. The future is coming and the future is definitely electric. A little recap to finish. So tonight, I want you to think about affordability and insulation, right? Ask yourself the right question. Is this affordable? I want you to go home and have a think about how does my house retain the heat? And do I have the most adequate heating system in my house? I want you to think about Jack and Rose's and their little problem of condensation and see if you've got the same and maybe you can do something about it. And tomorrow morning, I want you to try if you can defrost your car, the smart way. And maybe a little bit in the future, if you do renovation, think about how you can future-proof your house. So this is me. Thank you. I'll take questions. Sure.
Is the blue Peugeot Alpine yours?
No, it's not mine, but I wish. But yeah, I drive old Nissan Leaf, so embracing the future, already. Yes.
Do you know why New Zealand is historically so against central heating?
Well, when the first English people came here, it was in summer here, and it was winter in the UK. So when they came back, they spread this myth that New Zealand was a warm area to be. And I think since then, no one came and, debug that myth. And even Australia, which is very funny, in 2000, we had a massive peak of installation of air conditioner, not heat pumps, like wall-mounted air conditioner, because that's what they were using in Australia. So they weren't really thinking of what actually do we need here, and we need to heat, not to cool. Right, so that was part of the following problem. And I think put a jersey on, or for me that was put a beanie on, is still a very valid thing that people say to each other. Yes?
Tell us more about the phase out of gas.
Oh, sure. Okay, so in 2025, MB decided no more gas connection for new build. So this is coming. LPG is polluting 21 times more than CO2. So 1 kilogram of LPG produces 21 kilograms of greenhouse gases, is very bad. So the idea is we're going to phase out the gas, replace it by CO2, and then go 1-to-1 to it. So this is coming. You will still be able to cook with gas or having your barbecue, but you won't be able to to heat your house. So it's very important to understand that.
So if you're on reticulating gas at the moment,
Yeah, good luck, because sorry, I was a bit French and punchy here. The price of gas is going to raise by 300% in the next 3 years. So be ready. This is going to be so unaffordable that you will be like, yeah, I'll switch for electricity. Yeah. This is the carbon tax that we will have. We have it in Europe, and then, we make the move. All right. All right.